Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station, coming to you from the Nelson and Tasman region. In today's news, woman in near drowning at Kaiteriteri, another round of severe weather for Nelson, local DHB reaches 70% hand hygiene, Grey Power fights to change woodburner regulations, Heafy Track fully reopens, and weather holds for Taste Tasman. The Motueka woman who suffered serious spinal injuries in an accident at Kaiteriteri on Saturday has been transferred to the intensive care unit at Christchurch Hospital. The 29-year-old is thought to have dived into shallow water, impacting the seafloor, suffering spinal injuries and near drowning. She's understood to have been unconscious in the water for several minutes before being removed from the water by bystanders. A Prime Doctor and St John Ambulance road crew provided initial treatment at the scene, and on arrival the helicopter's on-board intensive care paramedic was able to provide further assessment and treatment to stabilise the woman before she was flown to Nelson Hospital's emergency department by the Nelson Marlborough Rescue Helicopter for further care. Nelson Marlborough DHB spokesperson Catherine Rock says she has since been transferred to the ICU at Christchurch Hospital, where she's in a stable condition. A severe weather warning has been enforced for Nelson, with Met Service advising the region was to expect another 100 millimetres of heavy rain up until 4 p.m. on Monday about the ranges of northwest Nelson on top of what has already fallen. Another 50 to 70 millimetres was also expected in the Richmond Ranges until late Monday afternoon. Thunderstorms were also likely. And now to a burning hot issue. Concerns have been raised about the impact of the Nelson Air Quality Plan on woodburner use. While there have been great gains made in Nelson's air quality over the last decade, Council says it's timely to review the current approach. Council is working with the Ministry for the Environment and gathering information through modelling. I spoke with Grey Power President Neville Mail about Grey Power Nelson's stance on the woodburner situation. Mr Mail is hoping for a strong turnout at a council meeting on Thursday this week from people opposed to current regulations, which he says are unfair. What exactly are your concerns around this, the woodburner regulations?
The Ministry for the Environment introduced about 12 years ago what they call the Clean Air Standards, which local bodies are required to adopt. The Nelson City Council, when they adopted these clean air standards, looked at what they determined were air sheds. In other words, specific areas within the Nelson City area that they could put a boundary around and declare it as either air shed A, air shed B, air shed C. Now that at that time there were severe, and I think we all agree, quite heavy pollution problems, and a lot of it emanated from areas where wood burners were being used for all sorts of purposes, to burn rubbish, to burn wet wood, and to burn many other things that the wood burner shouldn't have been used for. And that created quite severe air pollution problems. Nelson City Council decided to implement under the clean air regulations a course of action which restricted the use of wood burners to certain areas. Now, our concern has been that it's now almost 12 years ago. The control on air pollution is pretty well much in place. There's been a whole new regime of approved low emission wood burners now come into play, and we're saying that it's time for the City Council to readdress the draconian, because they are draconian, measures that they've put in place to stop people using wood burners. We're also very concerned, Joya, that you've got a City Council here who can discriminate between residents on this side of the street who are allowed to use wood burners and residents on that side of the street who are not. I mean, it's a nonsense, and we'll continue to fight it. This meeting, a committee of councils reporting back to the council on the 8th of May, we'll be there to represent our views. There'll be many others that are there. There's petitions that are circulating in town at the present time. I'd urge any of your listeners to try and sign up that petition or be at that meeting on the 8th of May. At the end of the day, people power, people pressure are going to make the difference. We've got a council here where we've got about half the council agree that there should be uplifting the regulations, and the others who are saying that it's not a big enough concern, or it's unfair that those that didn't get their wood burners in place in terms of the council timetable, they shouldn't be allowed in, which to me is a dreadful attitude, a very unfair, uncaring sort of attitude to say that those that didn't meet a timeline set by the council, which you could be found in small print somewhere in the back of the newspaper, people should never ever be allowed to have wood burners. So those are the sort of issues that we're fighting. At the end of the day, it's not just Grey Power, Joya, that's involved in this. The whole community, there's young couples with young families out there who are in homes where they can't use wood burners, can't use fireplaces. A lot of these older places have got fireplaces, they can't use those. They can't use wood burners. They're having to face increased power costs in terms of electricity. Power's gone up 17% in Nelson in the last 12 months. So, we've got, and specifically looking at Grey Power's situation, we've got old people who are going to bed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to keep warm. I mean, that is a dreadful set of circumstances, and when I say in my report that we will keep fighting this battle, we intend to, Joya. We're not going to back down on this, because at the end of the day, there is, I believe, a human right for people to be able to heat their homes in the way that they should and can afford to, which is the critical factor. The one thing that I keep emphasising is that despite statements made by Nelson City Council about the effect of wood smoke on health, my questioning of health authorities has not yet shown me one instance where a person has died as a result of inhaling wood smoke. And so to use wood smoke as the villain of the piece when we've got thousands of cars out there who are the real polluters of our clean air, really is unacceptable, and it's something that I've said we'll continue to fight.
Meanwhile, the petition that is currently circulating is available for people to sign at Nelson Grey Power and the Nelson Public Library. Nelson Marlborough DHB has increased compliance with the World Health Organisation's 5 moments of hand hygiene to reach 70.1%. New Zealand uses one of the strictest and most rigorous approaches to measuring hand hygiene performance, so rates of over 70% compare favourably with performance in other countries. The national average from November 1st, 2013 to the 31st of March 2014 measurement period is 72.6%, up from 66.6% this time last year. Nelson Marlborough DHB Chief Medical Officer Dr Nick Baker says healthcare workers throughout Nelson Marlborough DHB are working extremely hard to improve their hand hygiene performance and should be congratulated for their efforts. He says the steady increase seen in the results clearly show the improvements are real and changes in practice are becoming embedded. The level of compliance has increased by 20% since June 2012. Dr Baker says hand washing is a basic step that costs nothing and acts as a barrier to disease for both the patient and the clinician. He says while the data was encouraging, it still meant that 30% of the time, not all 5 moments of hand hygiene are being followed. This is not about staff not washing their hands at all, but about staff washing in 5 different situations before and after potential risk. Dr Baker says they're reviewing the ways they train, monitor and support their staff to continue improving their score. The World Health Organisation's 5 moments for hand hygiene approach requires hand hygiene to be performed at the following times, irrespective of whether or not gloves are used: before patient contact, before a procedure, after a procedure or body fluid exposure risk, after patient contact and after contact with patient surroundings. Mountain bikers can start riding the Hefe track from Monday the 5th of May, when the track will fully reopen following the clearance of fallen trees and other storm damage. The damage on the 17th of April caused extensive tree windfall on the Hefe track, forcing the closure of the track and delaying the start of its winter mountain biking season, which was due to start on Sunday. The track in Kahurangi National Park partially opened from its western Karamea end this week, but now the full 78-kilometre track will reopen from Monday to mountain bikers and walkers. Parts of the track are still not up yet to the usual standard. Bikers and walkers are advised to take extra care and watch out for loose vegetation in trees and some minor debris on the track, particularly in the sections between Brown and Perry Saddle Huts and between Mackay and Lewis Huts. Department of Conservation staff have put in a big effort over the past 2 weeks to clear fallen trees on the Heaphy track, with extra staff being brought in to speed up the clean-up. Dock Westport Conservation Services Manager Bob Dixon says reopening the Heaphy track has been a priority, particularly with its winter mountain biking season starting. He said, "We thought it might take up until the 12th of May to clear and reopen the track, but we're pleased to be able to open it a week sooner than expected due to the considerable effort our staff have put in, helped by fine weather." The latest New Zealand property report shows the average asking price nationally of new listings eased in April, falling by 1.4%. The average price nationally in April was $477,000. However, in Nelson, the average price rose 2.8% to $468,000. Meanwhile, spokesperson for Quotable Value, Andrea Rush, was in Nelson recently and who shed some light on where things are at with Nelson and Tasman house values. Last Friday evening, a bright green light dashed above Nelson, with one local businesswoman commenting that from her home in the Brook Valley that it appeared to be really big, with a bright green tail with its body containing a yellowish centre as it disappeared over the top of the Grampians. She said 2 of us saw it and sat there for about 10 minutes just in awe of the event, saying every gobsmacked word available, and she said it appeared bigger than an estimated 10 jumbo jets put together. Nelson, it seems, was not alone, with reports of this astral body sighting coming in from across New Zealand of a massive green kryptonite-looking meteor seen in the skies from Friday evening around 8 p.m. The Taste Tasman school fundraiser this year was smaller and more intimate for those that turned up to the event, which was held later this year than in other previous years. The weather held off on Sunday for the Taste Tasman fundraiser. The event this year had fewer musical performance acts and less stalls than the other previous Taste Tasman events. However, over 1,500 people came out on Sunday to enjoy the event, with most congregating near the main entertainment stage to hear local musician Ali Cook's band, the Sou'westers, with members Liam Ryan from former band The Narcs and Dean Hetherington from the West Coast band The Coal Rangers, play out their mix of country blues. Other players on the day included Motueka's Ralph Bennett Eads and Harmony Aquarian, otherwise known as Randy O'Rooster. We'll leave you now with Mainland's Chrissy Small, who caught up with Tasman School Principal Pip Wells to discuss some of the events that were happening on the day, as well as MP for Tasman, Damien O'Connor, who had earlier opened the event, plus some of the sounds on the day by the Sou'westers.
Damien O'Connor, Tasman Fair. It's Taste Tasman again, and you seem to be a regular at this event.
It's a great event actually, and for a good fundraising for the school.
Yeah.
Great, and it's also promoting Tasman as a region, a little sub-region, and the branding of all the products, everything that we can grow and do here, the music, all the art. Taste Tasman. We should have it more often.
Yeah. Tell me, what's going on for you in Tasman these days? I mean, of course, we're coming up to the election.
Well, I'm not in one place for very long because the electorate obviously really, really big. Last night in Greymouth at Blackball,
Yep.
An event up here today, away again tomorrow. So constant travel. September the 20th is going to loom large on us very, very quickly. So we're working really hard to win.
Okay, Taste Tasman, it looks like a great day for it. It's not too hot and not too cold.
Perfect, absolutely perfect, and as you can see, people have voted with their feet.
Yeah,
so
it's great.
A wonderful day.
Yeah, and well, people are still coming, so, what time do you close
we're not closing till 4.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got the rest of the afternoon to kick back, and you know, the main entertainment is yet to start, so it just goes from strength to strength.
Now, I hear there was an auction for some Andrea Bocelli.
Yes, absolutely.
Has that happened?
No, not yet. You'll hear it. You'll hear it. Very exciting. We've got auction for those wonderful tickets. We've also got other things on auction. We've got a beautiful platter from Tessa Mays. We've got some vouchers for the Able Tasman boat trips into the Able Tasman. And we've got an exercise device that you put your bike onto, so you can sit in your lounge, watch TV and exercise.
Right.
So, and we've also got some Canna Beach wine, so you could drink as you did it. So beautiful opportunities there.
Yeah, without actually having an accident. That sounds great.
Very safe, you don't even need the helmet.
Means the world to me if this love is true. All the hearts set free, starting anew. If we both agree, we can do our lovers do. Lovers sharing their lives, no need to disguise the look of love in their eyes. We do our lovers do. Lovers greet the new day in the lovers cafe. Love and live in this way. We do our lovers do. Just me and you. And I hope and pray we will both find there will come a day we can do our lovers do. We can do our lovers do. We can do our lovers do. Little things you do, the way that you smile, maybe me and you, perhaps in a while, if you wanted to, we can do our lovers do. We can do our lovers do. We can do our lovers do.
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.